Your bones are not the still, finished things you imagine them to be. Right now, even as you sit here reading this, they are alive and busy, and the truth, almost nobody tells you, is that they do their most important work in the dark, while you sleep. From the moment you close your eyes at night, a quiet construction crew goes to work deep inside your skeleton. Old, worn-out bone gets broken down and carried away, and fresh new bone gets laid down in its place. This goes on every single night of your life, and what you drink in that final hour before bed either hands that crew the materials it needs or leaves it standing there empty-handed until morning. Most people have no idea this is happening. After the age of 60, this matters far more than you think. Right now, 1 in 2 women and 1 in 4 men over the age of 50 will break a bone because of thinning, weakening bones, and most of them have absolutely no idea it is coming. That is the cruel part. Bone loss does not hurt. There are no warning aches, no signals, no pain to tell you that the scaffolding holding up your entire body is quietly growing thinner year after year. By the time it finally shows up, it usually shows up as a fracture, a wrist that snaps on a small fall, a hip that gives way, a spine that slowly folds forward. The damage has been building silently for decades, in complete silence, long before that first break ever arrives. I am Dr. William Lee, and I have spent years watching this quiet problem turn into a devastating one. So tonight, I am going to give you the exact bedtime drink that actually helps your bones rebuild themselves while you sleep, along with the ingredients that make it work. Some of them you will absolutely expect. A few of them are going to genuinely surprise you. And one of them is something that most people over the age of 60 have been told again and again that they simply cannot get enough of from food, when in fact, the real problem was never how much they were taking in. It was what their bodies were doing with it at night. But before I tell you about that drink, I want to say something directly to the person reading this right now who is quietly worried that their bones are already too far gone. You have not left it too late. I have watched people well into their 70s slow their bone loss, steady their frames, and stand taller and stronger than they had in years, because bone, like so much of the body, responds to what you give it. It is living tissue. It rebuilds. Once you stop starving it of what it needs and start feeding it properly, especially at night, it answers back. That is the whole reason I do this work. I want you living longer, stronger, and steadier on your feet, well past the age that everyone around you told you to slow down and be careful and give up. So I took everything I tell my own patients, the food, the timing, and the small daily habits that actually move the needle, and I put all of it into one simple plan. That plan has already helped thousands of people over the age of 60 protect their bones and stay upright and independent. If you want it, the link is sitting right there on your screen, waiting for you whenever you feel ready for it. Now, let us talk about your bones. Here is what almost nobody bothers to explain to you inside a rushed 12-minute office visit. Your bones are not just a rigid frame holding you up. They are a living, breathing bank of minerals, and they run their busiest shift at night. All day long, while you are up and moving and eating, your body pulls small amounts of calcium out of your blood for your muscles, your nerves, and your heartbeat. If your blood runs low on calcium, your body does something clever, and over time, dangerous. It quietly borrows calcium straight out of your bones to keep everything else running. This borrowing happens most in the long overnight hours, when you are asleep and no calcium is coming in from food. This stretch of time is the fasting window for your skeleton. It is the period from your last bite of food at night until your first bite the next morning, and it is the exact time when your bones are most vulnerable to being quietly drained. The real trouble comes from what we hand the body right before that long window opens, or rather, what we fail to hand it. When you go to bed with nothing feeding your bones, your body spends those hours pulling from its own reserves. Do that night after night for years on end, and the withdrawals begin to outpace the deposits. The bone bank slowly empties. We call that thinning bone, and in its more advanced stage, we call it osteoporosis, which simply means porous bone. bone that has grown full of tiny holes where solid structure used to be. Left completely alone, that thinning quietly continues until the frame can no longer bear an ordinary load. And here is the part that almost nobody ever tells you, the part about timing. It is not only what you eat that matters, it is when you eat it. Bone loss almost never announces its own arrival. It moves through its stages very quietly. First, the density slowly slips, a stage we call osteopenia, which just means bone that has started down the road but has not yet reached the danger zone. Then, over the course of years, that slow, silent loss deepens into full osteoporosis. And here is the hard truth. A bone that has already broken is far harder to make whole again than one you protected before it ever cracked. The window where you can still turn this around is the early window, and most people are sitting right in the middle of it at this very moment without having any idea. The evening is your daily chance to actually use that window instead of wasting it entirely. Every single ingredient I am about to give you does one of three specific jobs during that overnight window. It either delivers the raw minerals, the calcium and the magnesium that your bones use as their actual building blocks in the dark hours, or it carries the vitamins that act as the foreman on the site, directing that calcium into your bones and away from places it does not belong. Or it brings the plant compounds and the protein that slow the breakdown of bone and calm the low, quiet inflammation that speeds bone loss along. And every one of them is gentle enough on your stomach and your sleep that you can safely take it at night without weighing you down before you climb into bed. Let me show you the very first one. The first ingredient is warm milk, and it honestly earns its place in the bedtime slot more than almost anything else on this entire list. Most people think of milk as just a childhood drink, something you outgrow. That is a mistake that costs your bones dearly. A single glass of milk carries around 300 milligrams of calcium, roughly a third of what you need in a whole day, and it comes in a form your body absorbs beautifully. But the real reason I tell my patients to drink it specifically at night is because of what it does beyond the calcium. Milk is naturally rich in an amino acid called tryptophan, the raw material your brain uses to make the calming chemicals that wind you down and help you drift off. Deep sleep is not a small side note here. Your bones do their most important rebuilding during deep sleep, when your body releases the hormones that drive new bone formation. So a drink that deepens your sleep is quietly protecting your bones all through the night. If you sleep badly, your skeleton never gets its full repair shift in. On top of the calcium and the sleep, warm milk is easy to digest and settles the stomach. To use it, simply warm a cup of milk gently and sip it about an hour before bed. If you can find one fortified with vitamin D, even better, and I will tell you exactly why that matters in just a moment. Number 2 is fortified plant milk for those who cannot handle dairy, and this deserves its own place because so many people over 60 have quietly stopped drinking milk without replacing what it gave them. Almond, soy, and oat milks, when they are fortified, carry just as much calcium as cow's milk, often the very same 300 milligrams per cup, plus added vitamin D right in the carton. Soy milk in particular brings something extra for your bones. It carries plant compounds called isoflavones, which have been shown to gently slow the breakdown of bone, especially helpful for women after menopause, when bone loss speeds up sharply. If you gave up dairy years ago and simply started drinking your coffee black and your evenings dry, you may have quietly cut off one of the steadiest streams of calcium your bones were counting on. Warm a cup of fortified soy or almond milk the same way, about an hour before bed, and read the label to be sure it actually says fortified, because the unfortified versions give your bones almost nothing at all. Third on the list is one that surprises almost everyone, because they think of it as an afterthought rather than a bone food. Yogurt, specifically plain, unsweetened yogurt. For your bones, it might just be one of the most useful things you can reach for at night. Most people avoid it in the evening because they think of it as a breakfast food. That habit is quietly costing them. A single cup of plain yogurt carries a generous dose of calcium, often as much as a glass of milk, and it comes with something milk alone does not offer. Yogurt is rich in probiotics, the friendly bacteria that live in your gut, and a growing body of research shows that a healthy gut actually helps your body absorb more calcium from everything you eat. Your gut and your bones are connected far more closely than anyone used to believe. A well-tended gut sends the calcium onward to your skeleton. A troubled gut lets much of it slip away unused. Yogurt quietly supports that whole pipeline. On top of the calcium and the probiotics, it carries protein. And protein is the framework, the actual scaffolding, that mineral gets laid down upon. A half to a full cup of plain yogurt in the evening is plenty. Stir in a little cinnamon or a few soft berries if you like, but keep it unsweetened, because the sugary flavored cups undo much of the good. So far, every ingredient has done the same quiet work, delivering calcium and helping your body hold on to it, and we are only 3 of them in. The next few are where things get truly interesting, including the one that most people are getting completely backwards. Quick favor before I go on. If this is the very first time anyone has actually explained to you why your bones need help specifically at night, instead of just telling you to drink more milk, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. And if someone in your family is worried about their bones or has already had a fall, please send it along to them, because thinning bone very often sits quietly underneath both of those worries. So, number 4 is vitamin D, and this is the one that most people over 60 are getting completely backwards. You can drink all the calcium in the world, but without vitamin D, your body simply cannot pull that calcium out of your gut and into your blood, where your bones can use it. Vitamin D is the foreman that lets the whole project move forward. Here is the hard part. As we age, our skin makes far less vitamin D from sunlight, and many older adults spend more time indoors, so a great number of people over 60 are quietly running low without knowing it. A deficiency here means that even a calcium-rich diet largely goes to waste, the minerals passing straight through you. This is why I tell my patients to look for milk and yogurt fortified with vitamin D, and why, if your doctor confirms you are low, a supplement in the evening can make everything else you are doing actually work. The calcium and the vitamin D are partners. One without the other leaves the job half done. This is the ingredient hiding underneath all the others. The reason so many people take in plenty of calcium and still lose bone. Number 5 is magnesium, and it works on your bones through a door that most people never think about at all. Magnesium is the quiet partner that calcium cannot work without. Over half of the magnesium in your entire body is stored in your bones, and it plays a direct role in turning vitamin D into its active, usable form. Without enough magnesium, even the vitamin D you have sits there half asleep and unable to do its job. Magnesium also has a wonderful effect at night. It relaxes the muscles and the nervous system, helping you sink into deeper, calmer sleep, the very sleep your bones rebuild during. You can bring more of it into your bedtime drink easily. A spoonful of natural cocoa powder stirred into warm milk carries magnesium along with bone-friendly plant compounds. A small handful of almonds or a little almond butter blended in does the same. Foods rich in magnesium, taken in the evening, quietly complete the trio that calcium and vitamin D began. If you have ever wondered why your calcium never seemed to make a difference, low magnesium is very often the missing third leg of the stool. Number 6 is prunes, and almost nobody thinks to reach for them for their bones, mostly because they have earned a reputation for something else entirely. It is genuinely worth setting that reputation aside. Prunes are one of the most studied foods in all of bone research, and the findings have been remarkable. In careful trials, older women who ate a small daily serving of prunes actually preserved bone density and slowed the loss that normally comes with age. Prunes are rich in vitamin K, boron, and a whole range of plant antioxidants, and together these appear to slow down the cells that break bone apart while supporting the cells that build it. For your bones, that is exactly the balance you want, tipping the scale back toward building. You can blend 2 or 3 soft prunes into your bedtime drink, where they add a gentle, natural sweetness, or simply eat a few on their own alongside your warm milk. That burst of sweetness makes the whole ritual feel like a small treat. Which is exactly the point, because the habit you actually keep is the one that truly protects you. Number 7 is leafy greens, and this is the one that almost nobody thinks to work into a bedtime routine. Greens like kale, collards, and bok choy are quietly loaded with calcium, in a form your body absorbs well, along with vitamin K, which acts almost like a signal that tells calcium exactly where to go, guiding it into your bones and keeping it out of your arteries. That last part matters enormously as we age. You do not want your calcium settling in the wrong places. Vitamin K helps direct traffic. Now a small blended handful of mild greens like baby spinach or kale disappears easily into a bedtime smoothie, with milk and a soft prune, and you will barely taste it. If a green drink at night is not for you, simply making greens a steady part of your dinner does much of the same work, giving your bones a slow, steady supply of both minerals and direction through the overnight hours. Number 8 is the surprise that I promised you, and it is protein, the very thing that a lot of people over the age of 60 have been quietly told to cut back on. Let me explain both sides of this carefully, because it is important. For years, older adults have heard warnings to eat less protein, out of concern for the kidneys, or the belief that it somehow leached calcium from the bones. But the science has turned, and turned firmly. Bone is not just mineral. Roughly half of its structure, by volume, is a protein framework, a living scaffold of collagen, and the calcium is laid down upon it. Without enough protein, there is no frame for the mineral to build on. Older adults who eat too little protein actually lose bone and muscle faster, and that muscle loss is what leads to the falls that break those thinned bones in the first place. This is why a bedtime drink built on milk or yogurt, both naturally rich in protein, does double duty. So why the old warning? Because at the very highest intakes, without enough calcium alongside it, protein can shift the balance. But for the vast majority of people over 60, the real danger is far and away too little, not too much. If you are on a restricted diet for your kidneys, this is the one place where I have to be completely direct with you. Do not change your protein without asking your doctor, because only your own lab work can truly answer that question for your particular situation. Before I give you the bonus recipe, I need to draw a clear line, exactly the way I would inside my own office. These foods and drinks support bones that are thinning or at risk. They are not a treatment for bones that are already in real trouble. If you have already had a fracture from a minor fall, if you have lost height, if your upper back has begun to round forward, or if you have sudden, unexplained back pain, those are not kitchen problems. Those are see someone problems, and they mean you get a proper bone density scan promptly. And if you already carry a diagnosis of osteoporosis or take medication for your bones, fold these habits in only alongside your doctor's plan, never in place of it. Food is the foundation. It is not the whole house. Let me tell you about someone I will call Margaret. She was 65, recently retired, and she came in feeling fine, just a little shorter than she remembered being, and a bit more cautious on the stairs. Her scan told a very different story. She had crossed into osteoporosis without a single symptom to warn her. She was completely stunned. She drank her tea black, had given up dairy years earlier for her stomach, and ate lightly in the evenings, often nothing at all after an early supper. We did not start with panic. We started with her evenings. Margaret had a habit of going to bed on an empty stomach, right as her body was about to spend the whole night borrowing calcium from her bones. We changed that. Some nights it was warm fortified soy milk with a little cinnamon. Other nights, a small cup of plain yogurt with a soft prune stirred in. Her doctor confirmed her vitamin D was low and started her on a supplement in the evening, and she added a short daily walk and a few gentle standing exercises. A year later, her next scan showed her bone loss had stopped its slide and begun, quietly, to steady. Her frame was doing exactly what a frame does when you finally stop starving it. None of this was a miracle. It was simply her giving her skeleton its night shift back. Now the bonus I promised you, the simple bedtime drink that puts the best of all these together into one single glass. I call it the bedtime bone tonic, and it takes just 2 minutes. Into a small pot or a blender, put 1 cup of warm milk or fortified soy milk for your calcium and vitamin D. Add a spoonful of plain yogurt for the probiotics that help you absorb it all. Stir in a teaspoon of natural cocoa powder for magnesium and its bone-friendly plant compounds. Blend in 2 soft prunes for the vitamin K and boron. Finish with a small shake of real cinnamon. Warm it gently and sip it slow, and that is it. It is gentle on the stomach and rich in the exact minerals, vitamins, and protein your bones want overnight. And it gives you something to reach for at night that is finally working for your bones instead of leaving them to fend for themselves. Drink it about an hour before bed in place of going to sleep on empty. Let me give you a couple of easy variations so that you do not get bored of it, because the one you actually keep doing is the one that truly works. On a night when you want it richer, blend in a small handful of almonds or a spoon of almond butter for extra magnesium and protein. If your stomach is sensitive at night, skip the cocoa and the prunes and simply sip warm fortified milk on its own. And honestly, you do not even have to blend anything at all. A small cup of plain yogurt with a soft prune and a shake of cinnamon does most of the very same work. The tool here is not the blender. The tool is the habit, refusing to hand your bones an empty night. Notice that I kept this built on things gentle enough for sleep, because a drink that keeps you awake would rob your bones of the very repair window we are trying to protect. So here is exactly what to do tonight, in 5 simple steps. 1. Refuse to go to bed on empty. Make the last thing of your night one of these calcium-rich drinks so your bones are not forced to borrow from themselves all night long. 2. Pick one ingredient from tonight's list that is already sitting in your house right now and have a small portion of it about an hour before bed. 3. If you want the full effect, make the bedtime bone tonic, warm milk, a spoon of yogurt, cocoa, a couple of prunes, and a shake of cinnamon. 4. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D at your next visit, because without it, everything else is only doing half its job. 5. Add a short daily walk or a few gentle standing exercises, because bone grows stronger when you gently ask it to bear your weight. That signal, day after day, tells your skeleton it is still needed. Now, drinking the right thing at night is only half of the picture. The other half is what you do first thing in the morning, because there are a few ordinary morning habits, things you might be doing every single day with the very best of intentions, that quietly work against your bones and undo the good you did overnight. In my next video, I will walk you through the exact morning routine that protects your bones and the one common breakfast mistake that quietly drains the calcium right back out of them.